What if I told you there is a laptop that is extremely weird and only appears by exploding farts? Toshiba Tecra S3. This laptop is completely weird. And that's right here, right now, on the Longhorn channel. I wasn't kidding about this laptop being weird. It's a real odd duck. Anyways, specs wise, we're talking about a Toshiba Tecra S3 powered by a Pentium 760, 160GB hard drive, 1GB of RAM, and a GeForce GO 6600. Now, to be fair, this laptop is designed for business use, and thanks to a dedicated graphics card, you get to avoid to have shared memory. So anyways, about connectivity, at the front we have our Wi-Fi on-off switch, a mini FireWire port, a microphone and headphone jack, the volume control, and that little hole at the very right is your microphone. On the right hand side we have two USB 2.0, a modem jack, a DVD burner, and a serial port. At the back we have one additional USB 2.0 port, the plug for your adapter, which is powered by a 15-volt power adapter, so it's not like the common 19-volt laptops you'd see pretty much everywhere. And at the right hand side we have our parallel port. At the left hand side we have our 10100 megabit Ethernet jack, a VGA port, a recessed S-video out, space for two express cards, but this stupid little thing is pretty much stuck together, so you're kind of screwed. So you'd have a nice gaping hole right there, and underneath, right there, is a space, a slot for an SD card. Over here we have our trackpad, left click, right click. And at the top, we also have an additional left click and right click at the very top of the trackpad. It's a little off. You have a tendency to right click if you go quite harsh on it. So yeah, that's a little bit of a wonky. And you don't have a what is it again? The pointing stick to go along with these two. So what's the point? Let's not forget we have our fingerprint sensor right here. So you scan your finger and you're ready to log in. And this is where things starts to get a little wonky. We have a keyboard that is well laid out, but it's a little bit weird. First thing, what's that blue arrow, the blue right arrow at the bottom right? What is this? What is this? What is this? This is shift. The arrow that seems to go a different route than the little line is the alt key. This is right click, I guess, Windows icon, the function key, and this little steering wheel is control. Let's not forget at the very top right we have our page up, page down, which is basically pointing to the left and right, and the home and end, which is the arrows pointing top left and top right. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And I don't know what's wrong with these keys. It looks like the keyboard's been moved. It's a little wonky. But I'm not done just yet. It really gets weird as soon as you turn it on. So it's gonna boot up. If you hit F12, this is what happens. You see those icons that's always there, and then you start to see this little bar right there. Unlike common boot screens where you have that menu, you have to navigate at the bottom here from left to right and choose what bootable device you have. Like a hard drive, an external hard drive, or CD player, CD device. You want your built-in optical drive, a floppy drive if you had one. You can boot in from the network boot, and it also supports, well, USB booting. It's kind of a bit of a, it threw me off when I first saw it. If you want to enter the BIOS, you have to hit escape once. And then it says check system, then press F1 key. This has got to be the stupidest thing ever, but take a look at the BIOS. 3, 2, 1. What the fuck is this? I mean, seriously. Huh? 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 I mean, seriously, if you think about it, it's a system setup 1 out of 3, so that's page 1 out of 3. You have all these settings right here, and you navigate up and down, and you have their options right here, and you just hit enter, or you can't hit enter. You have to change the values by space or backspace. This is stupid. PCI Express link, ASPM, whatever. There's no password. You want to change the value, hit space, and then you get this thing, which you have to hit escape, exit without saving, not yet. So then you have a hard drive password if you want to. The boot priority is right here, which is stupid again. Hit space until whatever you want is basically your desire. So I'm gonna go hard drive first, then the floppy drive, then the CD-ROM. But you can go hard drive, CD-ROM, LAN, FDD. We're gonna do that. Display power on. Display is auto select. Display stretch is enabled. If you don't, disabling this will give you a crammed in resolution where it won't stretch your resolution. Let's say, for example, I believe this thing is 1280 by 1024 at most. Well, if it's 1024 by 768, if you disable this, the screen will be centered and not stretched. And then the TV type, for some reason, is NTSC, US, Japan, or PAL. So you can take it anywhere you want to go and hook it up to your favorite TV from all over the world. I'm not done over yet. Dynamic CPU frequency mode. You can do always low, dynamic, or always high. So this is basically speed step. The execute disable bit capability is not available or available. So if you want to use Windows 10, if you're really that crazy, available and you're good to go. Now I'm going to have to use page up and page down. And look at that. Now we got all these features, which I'm pause the video if you want to, because I'm not going through everything. And page 3 is pretty much this, and it supports RAID. I cannot believe this. This thing supports RAID. But you have the built-in hard drive and a second hard drive, which there's no spot for it. That's weird. Anywho, it seems like we have wait, do we have a RAID setup? That's odd. So now we're gonna hit escape, quit without saving, and then it's gonna go ahead and shut down and then turn itself back on, and we're gonna boot into Windows. There's a reason why I want to boot into Windows. You'll see in a minute. Okay, here we go. This thing reeks of not genuine. It is a Windows 7 Lite edition, and you can see it. It's pretty messed up. The start button, for example, the Windows logo sticks out like as if you'd have to, well, yeah, you do have the minimal taskbar, but as soon as you enter, look at all programs. It's all messed up and shit. It's just, ugh. And then if you right click computer, for example, we're gonna go to device manager, but look at it. Edit registry, MS config. Yeah, you can see that this thing has been heavily modified. I really don't recommend that. And over here, for some reason, we don't have a lot of devices or enough, well, installed. I have no idea why. But just to confirm, we have our GeForce GO 6600. And for those of you who want to know, can you play games on this? Well, period correct, you could get away with some of it, but not all of it. And don't expect high settings because it is a low-powered GeForce 6600, not a GT. I'm telling you, this thing really, really is the weirdest laptop I've ever seen. So now, I'm not going to show you everything, but it's time for me to restore this thing back to something that is potent, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll spare you that. And now we're going to wrap things up. So there we go. This is the Toshiba Tecra S3. The probably one of the weirdest laptop I've ever seen. It functions completely different from many traditional machines I've seen, but it doesn't do the job. Well, I've had a story that this thing was not really liking the full-blown Windows 7 for some reason. I don't remember what really. I worked on it, so don't even ask why I've given it a light version of Windows 7. There must have been a reason for it. But, and overall, yeah, so either I'm going to install Windows 7, but with a gig of RAM, he only seems to only use it for music and audio. I don't think, he says like maybe 1% of the time he goes on the internet. Should I take the risk of putting XP? That's my own decision, but I should probably put 7 for the better risk. Well, to avoid risk anyways. Or I can put Vista and be a fucking idiot. So in terms of reliability, the BIOS seems like it portrays or gives me the impression like that laptop's about to break down anytime, but it doesn't seem to have let me go. And to see a RAID array in a laptop in itself that is not a gigantic beast of a monster that takes 2 power bricks, well, I don't know. It's solid, but there's that something that, I don't know. It feels like something's gonna break down any moment, like a ticking time bomb, but it doesn't seem like it wants to let go. So yeah, so in my opinion, it's a 7. Upgradability, well, it is packed full of features, so you're kind of limited on the upgrades. The Pentium M760 is probably one of the latest you can ever put on that. You cannot put a Core 2 Duo. That's out of the question. And on top of that, well, your 1 gig of RAM, it's DDR2. You can only go up as far as 2 gigabytes of RAM. So 4 gigs of RAM, forget it. And as far as I know, the Pentium M760 is not 64-bit ready. So in terms of upgradability, it's a 6. Gaming. We always talk about a gaming PC. Well, it has a GO6600 from NVIDIA, so I have quite a bit of an advantage, but I don't think it's been always designed for games. It's been designed more for business use. But if you really want to game, period correct wise anyways, it won't run your latest video games. Forget it. But period correct, I think you can get away with medium low to medium settings, and you could actually manage to pull off decent. So for me, gaming on that laptop would be 6. Multimedia wise, well, like I said, the guy has been using it to record his guitar and, well, lots of stuff anyways, but it hasn't let him down. He never complained that it was lagging. It kept recording, and he's got quite a bit of a setup, and this laptop holds up to it. So ironically, for a microphone and a headphone jack, in terms of multimedia and those little 2 speakers at the front, well, not bad actually. And thanks to the GeForce GO6600, it helps a bit too when you want to do some movie maker stuff maybe. So that's a little plus. So for me, it's a 7. So overall, this laptop is definitely a 6.5 out of 10. Although packed full of features like a fingerprint sensor, 1 gig to boot, a DVD burner, USB, and all that shenanigan, this laptop lacks in upgradability, unfortunately. And the really weird BIOS really throws me off. And the boot options, it's like I said, it's really weird, but it still gets the job done. Take it for example, like let's say if you get a Volkswagen car, a lot of things are different. Like they take Torx instead of bolts, but they still do the same thing. So yeah, I know, really comparing it to a car really isn't the best idea ever, but you get the point. So it still holds potential, but in this day and age, unfortunately, this laptop barely keeps up with today's standards. So if you have any questions, comments, anything I've overlooked or not looked at this particular Tecra S3 from Toshiba, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, if you have a story you would like to share about this particular machine, the comments down below is for you to go nuts. And also, in an upcoming, I'm creating an upcoming Q&A video, so if you want to get to know a little bit more about good old me, comments down below again, for you to go nuts. And of course, until next time, stay bold and take care. Thanks for watching.